Okay, hello and welcome to MSDynamicsWorld.com's CRM webcast series. I'm Jason Gumpert, and joining us today is Dan Griffin, Channel Sales Director for SilverPop. Dan's a veteran of the CRM industry, and we're really pleased to have him joining us today for the session on using Dynamics CRM to execute exceptional marketing campaigns. We invite you to add your feedback and ask Dan questions today. You can use the chat block or the Q&A block that you will see to the right of the slides in the webcast session here to ask your questions and provide feedback. So without further delay, we are happy to start the webcast off by introducing Dan Griffin. Dan.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason. We appreciate the opportunity here to work with the folks that are attending and really talk about Microsoft Dynamics CRM and not just how you can leverage the marketing functionality within CRM, but really discuss those business benefit stories and talk about extending CRM into the marketing automation space to not only plan as you can within the Microsoft Dynamics CRM product, but also execute not just emails, but an entire set of marketing automation functionality. So very quickly, it's a little background on me. Hopefully it helps understand the perspective that we're coming from. I spent 8 years in the Microsoft CRM space with a national implementation team, leading a services department there. And then I've spent about the last 13 years in the CRM space with different products from Siebel, Salesforce.com, of course, Microsoft the last 8 years, and then a variety of boutique applications. And I've really spent the last 4 years also diving into marketing automation. And how does that help customers, so those end users, be it sales folks or marketers, really leverage the data and the power of a CRM implementation and turn that into successful lead management and web intelligence and email marketing and web form capture. So we're going to talk a lot less about demonstration today. We're going to talk a lot more about how you leverage the tool and extended tool sets and drive ROI. We're going to use some stories from some of our customers at SilverPop to hopefully bring that point home. So you've probably heard the term behavioral marketing in the past, and what behavioral marketing does, or the approach, is really treating those customers as individuals. So if we just look at the basic slide, we're showing 3 individuals. They're all very different. They all have different scores. Of course, that takes time and analysis to understand your scoring. But what's really important is that the adage of talking to your customer or prospect the way they want to be spoken to, while still using your marketing intelligence, both from a business perspective and the technology set, to move them in the direction that helps drive more revenue, helps create greater customer service experiences, helps provide your sales force with sales qualified leads. So really turning that into behavioral marketing, focusing on your use cases and your users or personas. The days of batching up an email and blasting it out and hoping for a positive response are really in the past, and you should be really moving forward into managing your marketing dollar. What does the ROI look like from that marketing dollar? And how am I influencing my prospects and customers? Behavioral marketing, very important. And so just a quick overview around behavioral marketing and automation. What marketing automation does when you couple it with the behavioral marketing program or your personas, if you will, is it allows you and really requires you to address your individuals into the almighty campaign of one. I want to be treated, and just like everyone on this call, you've shopped on the internet as a consumer. You've spent countless hours or at least prepared yourself educationally long before you ever engage with, in this case, let's pretend we're going to an electronics store and we're going to buy a television. There's a lot of recent study that have come out that said about 53 to 56% of the sales cycle is already complete from a buyer before they ever walk into a brick and mortar store, engage your website, or even want to interact with you. They are perusing social channels. reading reviews, whether they are true or not, and doing a lot of research. So you need to be able to take all of those inherent things that are happening prior to your engagement and pull those into a campaign of one and learn from the data that you have in place. The other challenge that marketers have is there is a plethora of data that they can use and have at their disposal. Now, of course, how are marketers leveraging these different data sets from the mobile side of the house? If I move left to right through this slide, from a mobile or geo perspective, check-ins. How do I check into what's called an amusement park? And how does a marketer know that I've checked in? Well, it's pretty important if I want to be able to give them on-the-spot offers to know that they've checked in at my particular amusement park. Again, as we move around this semicircle, social listening, and what is really happening to the brand awareness. Marketers in various industries are extremely concerned about their social brand and putting the hands of the consumer or the business that's buying as well. So this is not just a B2C piece, but also B2B, really handling and understanding what is the perspective from my potential buyer or my existing customer, and what are they saying about us? And it's very hard to make that information actionable, but that is one of the next goals of marketers and marketing technology, is to really use analytics and use this social data and make it actionable. Of course, we have the web. So I imagine most folks have or are or have been a part of web intelligence, understanding who's on my site. Google Analytics is often the buzzword that's thrown around. How do I understand what people are doing on my site, and where can I provide better influence to move them in the direction of selling or education that I would like? So you should always be looking at important websites and web page visits to your site. What are folks doing? What blogs are they going to? That can tell you a lot, especially in our industry being, if you are a marketer and you're on this call, you're likely interested in Microsoft Dynamics CRM, either as a user or a partner. Oftentimes in the partner community, we find that users are really checking blogs to understand how are my peers or how are other folks solving a common business problem. Knowing what blog that an individual is visiting is extremely important in how I go back and address them in a marketing effort. Web form capture, very important. We're going to talk about that in detail as I continue. Of course, web analytics, the kind of the bigger box of analytics that come from firms that really look at the overall landscape of personas and who is going where and who is doing what and how I should address those folks. Messaging, and what comes to mind when we think about marketing and CRM. Email, but it's so much more than email. The introduction of SMS that is still gradually taking shape in the landscape. We're going to leverage the SilverPop product to talk a little bit about some of these pieces. And then, of course, data, and not to be left out on its own. The data is extremely important for a marketer and a salesperson. To execute a successful marketing campaign, I really do need to have some trusted data, whether it's internal, purchased, supplemental in the terms of a inside view or a Dun & Bradstreet, data cleansing from a variety of vendors to make sure that I trust my data. So when I send a physical mailer, or when I send an email, or when I have someone that comes to my site, enters their phone number, that has been cleansed, really smoothing that opportunity process for whoever is interacting with that data becomes very important. And that is not a marketing question or a sales question. It is a business program question around how successful do we want to be, how trusted is our data, and what are we doing to ensure that the data we are leveraging every day to either speak to our customers or prospects or enrich our data is trusted. So very quickly, there are some ingredients for marketing success, and we'll definitely use Microsoft Dynamics CRM as our example, and the marketing automation platform that we'll use today is really Core Motives, which is a SilverPop offering. But let's move up to the top and talk about what marketers think and how do marketers really leverage CRM platforms and marketing automation platforms to be successful. Well, the first thing is that there has to be a vision. And that vision is not just, I want to execute an email campaign, or I want to introduce the launch of a new feature via a mass email market, but it is answering the question, what kind of revenue do I want to drive? Who is my target? How many different types of targets do I have? How much money do I have to spend? So it's really, it's what is oftentimes described by technologists as the black box of marketing. This is not just creative, but it's really your plan and knowing how you're going to go to market, the different avenues and channels you're going to use to address that market, and the problem you're going to solve. But what's really important is also, what are my goals? And Microsoft CRM allows you to track that. So what's nice about Microsoft CRM in a marketing perspective is I leverage a campaign, I leverage all of the built-in Microsoft Dynamics functionality around creating lists, or for those of you that are intimate with Microsoft CRM, advanced find. And then how do I track that as a successful marketing effort? So there are various points within CRM that allow you to track back from a lead record against a marketing campaign or source campaign, against an opportunity back to a marketing or source campaign. So very important to have that vision, but have your goal and know how you're going to judge success. We talked a lot about data already. Data is extremely important. When I was implementing Microsoft CRM, I had a client that 32% of their addresses were wrong. They hadn't cleansed their data, and they sent a lot of direct mail. They hadn't cleansed their data in somewhere around 4 to 4.5 years. When they sent that out for cleansing, 32% of their physical addresses in their entire database were inaccurate, wrong, or incomplete. And of that 32%, 17% were actively engaged in some sort of buying. So you can imagine that's a lot of money that's being wasted sending mail that's coming back or going to Never Never Land that could have been redirected elsewhere. There's a large story around data and its quality. Then, of course, the skills. So you can have the best vision, the best data, but having the skills within a marketing department, or if you're a partner, having the knowledge around how marketers work and execute, from the creative side to a data analyst to someone who prepares copy to the website administrator. It's all important to understand the different skill levels that go on in a marketing department. So that really lives at the marketer or the marketing department level. Now let's introduce some technology. So the middle layer, Microsoft Dynamics CRM, for most of you that are familiar, it is really about a centralized database that holds all of my leads, prospects, or contacts, and leveraging that data to reach out to them in various forms and accomplish my vision with correct data to those individual personas, whether it's an upsell for a customer that has an existing product, to a did you know email or a newsletter that goes out to a larger set, to some of the examples we're going to talk about today, where we're driving folks to web forms to ask for supplemental data in the hopes of them engaging into another product, a ticket, or really entering in our B2B type of a funnel. And then the last piece, the one unique difference that we have with Microsoft CRM as it stands right now, does not have a marketing automation deliverability engine. So what that means is I cannot easily send emails without getting my Exchange server blacklisted, or I cannot send emails out for various other reasons. So communicating out to your prospects or leads via email is very important to include a marketing automation platform. There are several vendors in the space, including Silverpop, that offer a variety of go-to-market solutions, from very small, just send an email, to much larger marketing automation platforms. If you're a Microsoft partner, you've also heard about the introduction of Marketing Pilot, and Marketing Pilot being a new Microsoft Dynamics toolkit that is still working through its release cycle. But the marketing automation platform is an imperative have to communicate out of Microsoft CRM via email, or to track web intelligence, or to create web forms. You have to have a platform or some set of tools to accomplish this. So let's talk real quickly about what is marketing automation, and we won't spend a bunch of time on this particular slide. It's all about that interaction between you and your prospect or customer. And are the things you're doing as a marketer correct to address your market or markets? So oftentimes you think about the outbound portion of marketing. So that's email outbound. It's still very, very heavy, but also important is click tracking. We talked about web intelligence. We want to understand not only where people are clicking in emails, but what are they doing on our website? What are they doing on web forms or microsites or various things that we put in place? Understanding where people are interacting with your brand, part of marketing automation. Lead scoring, the forever battle between sales and marketing. How are they against each other? Sometimes. Are they with each other? Well, sometimes. But every salesperson wants a qualified lead. Every marketer wants to give salespeople qualified leads. Why? It allows them to work better, and they become more trusted. And one of the unique things about sales and marketing working together and being successful is that it's proven that your business is going to be more successful. It's a lot harder for these two organizations or groups within your company, be it again an end user or a partner. If marketing and sales aren't working together, and you're always working through this maybe combative or just untrusting relationship, you spend a lot more time. And that's why the data is so important in terms of this. But complex lead scoring, making sure that sales doesn't see someone from a lead perspective until they have met a certain set of criteria, and you're routing that lead to the right person versus just a general call, also showing all that interaction history. Lead scoring is very important for the relationship between marketing and sales. Web forms, the ability to capture information from someone interacting with you online and pull that data into CRM. Not always 100% trustworthy, but as you get into a nurture cycle around web forms and capturing data, and you start to know your individual customer of one better, you're able to trust your data more the farther you get them involved in these nurture programs. And we're going to talk a little bit about that towards the end of this discussion. Surveys. Everyone wants to know how they're doing. You can use marketing automation to deliver surveys to customers, prospects. It might be the survey that you send if I'm a retailer and someone buys a product online. Marketing automation can pick up that purchase because it should, in theory, be surfaced in your CRM, and then kick out a survey via your marketing automation platform through Microsoft Dynamics CRM to query the experience or ask any number of questions that you've had. And then, of course, landing pages, direct drives to a particular topic, and then understanding how those landing pages work and where it sends others, and knowing what to do once it sends those folks to other pages. Okay, so just a quick look and feel, and I'm going to show you just a few screenshots from Microsoft Dynamics 2013. We're not going to get into a deep product demo. I'm not going to drive around and show how to create marketing lists or how to create campaigns. We're going to kind of breeze quickly through to deliver ROI, you need Microsoft CRM and a marketing automation platform in some sense to be able to interact, capture data, capture intelligence, and then react accordingly. So as we look at Microsoft Dynamics 2013, and some of you might be on 2011, this is the new, the latest release from Microsoft with a very different look and feel. And as you can see across the top of the top image, really trying to make it more easy for a user to go exactly where they need to go, and then to start interacting with their lists. So to the left of the highlighted core motives box, which is the marketing automation platform that SilverPop has from an embedded perspective in Microsoft Dynamics CRM, you see marketing functionality. This is where you build your campaigns. This is where you go in and create marketing lists. And that's not just the marketer, but you can allow sales folks, and you'd certainly encourage your sales team to build their own marketing list, to drop folks into the marketing list with the simple Microsoft Dynamics one touch, add to marketing list, choose the marketing list you want to add them to, and off you go. You don't have to back out of your end user experience as a salesperson or a service person or a business development person and go to a different area. Microsoft Dynamics CRM allows you to very easily, with the push of a button, drop them into a predefined marketing list. It's all about the vision, so we're going to go back to those three pillars. The vision is the marketing module, being able to set up campaigns that conform with that vision, that are part of that strategic initiative, and then of course the skills or the execution comes from a marketing automation platform like a Core Motives. So what a few things that most marketing automation platforms are going to allow you to do, in fact they all should, is build email messages and templates. So the nice thing about SilverPop is that we offer two unique marketing automation platforms. One, Core Motives, which is embedded in Microsoft Dynamics CRM, and then the other, which is our Engage platform, which is a standalone platform that has integration to Microsoft Dynamics CRM. It's considered a industry leader from a behavioral marketing perspective. Our functionality in Core Motives is the exact same in terms of nurture campaigns and A/B testing. Oftentimes, marketers feel they have a need to take their marketing automation platform and have it live outside of Microsoft Dynamics CRM for whatever reason, and there are a lot of valid reasons for that. We offer a tool for both of those. But the key message is make it easy for marketers to interact, and Microsoft has done that, and then by adding Core Motives, which is an embedded solution, I learn one tool, I learn one way to create a query or a marketing list to add people, and then I drop in, and in this case, we're just creating a simple mailing, as you can see, where it's for a partner webinar series, and I'm using just some basic dynamic content where I'm dropping in someone's first name, but you could certainly go through and present different messages to different people. And then, of course, SMS is available as well. It's also really important for the overall discussion around success of an email, which will thus determine how successful I am driving ROI or engaging with my clients or prospects, understanding what those email messages look like. So one of the things that's really important is to test your email. See, form factor. It's going to an Android device versus an iPhone versus a Windows phone versus a BlackBerry versus it's going to be on a 7-inch tablet and a 13.5-inch monitor and a 3.5-inch phone. Really knowing what that looks like and ensuring that you are addressing your market the way they want to be addressed, which was back to the behavioral marketing piece, but also thinking about that vision of where are folks most likely to interact with what I'm going to send to them. So there is a lot of strategy you need to think about and a lot of what happens if in terms of marketing being successful. But it's important to understand what the inbox is going to look like when you spend all this time on creative and messaging and content, and if it looks like just plain text on someone's laptop, that's probably not going to hit home very well. Now, plain text on a phone is a totally different story. And then, of course, you want to track your results. So behind the heat map that you see here, it certainly opens and clicks and unsubscribes. That's critically important because you want to understand the success of your mailing. That allows you to understand what to do next, what type of buyers or prospects am I interacting with, what have I done to cause an unsubscribe. But it's also important to understand what are they clicking on, where are they going, and then what are they doing after that with my organization. So don't just stop at, in this email, for example, that the heat map shows that they clicked on a microsite for specifics, and it seems like almost everyone clicked there. Well, of course they clicked there because we want them to go to our Convergence microsite, and this was for last year's Convergence in Houston, or in New Orleans. We also wanted to understand once they got to the microsite, where were they going? Were they registering for a party? Was it a partner? Was it an end user? So really important to string that experience together. So for partners and for CRM marketers and users alike, the only reason I'm showing this logo slide is that every single one of these logos uses Microsoft Dynamics CRM. And there are, of course, globally recognized brands across many industries, but it's also important to know that they've been very successful driving ROI using a marketing automation platform. So they have a vision. Microsoft CRM is their data source, and that data source could be integrated to many other data sources, but there is one customer master or prospect master then they've overlaid a, or in this case, for every one of these logos, they've added core motives, an embedded solution right into their Microsoft Dynamics CRM offering, and the marketers live and breathe in CRM, not in our Engage product, which again is integrated and passes data. Core motives, we are using the CRM database. So we're going to switch gears, and we're going to talk about one of the logos that we just saw, which is the New Jersey Devils. And we're going to talk about them from a consumer perspective, how they leverage marketing and marketing automation with Microsoft Dynamics CRM as their core foundation for data, and how they become successful really building a fan base and driving ticket sales. So 17,625. I'm sure you can guess. That is the number of seats in the arena where the Devils play. And the Devils know that if I can put 1 or 2 or 3 folks additionally in that seat, I'm likely to gain X dollars from them from concession sales, potentially buying a jersey or a t-shirt, or maybe they bring their son and it's a flag or something, pencils they take to school. They know what happens when they can get someone into the arena. The challenge, especially in their market, which is highly competitive with another NHL hockey team, NBA, pro and college football and basketball, plus think about all the things that the New York metro area and the New Jersey area offer. So there are tons of things that can have folks be distracted, but they use Microsoft Dynamics CRM and core motives to solve this issue. So the first thing, and we've talked about data being a common theme. That was the first thing that the Devils understood. They needed to do 2 things. They needed to get their season ticket holder data into CRM and all of the prospects that they've been chasing, but they also needed to aggressively go capture more data. So what you're seeing, and one of the things that the Devils did, which is a CRM strategy, how do I go engage with people that are obviously interested in our product and get more information? So they have a group called the Devils Army Generals, and they use a web form that you can see on the tablet, and they take these tablets to every one of their events. So certainly they walk around the concourse at Devils home games and ask for information, but just as important, they go with the mascot to the events that the mascot goes to with the cheerleaders, with the players. So when they're doing events outside of the general game or fan experience at the arena, they're still looking to capture information. Really important to not just think about what am I doing out to my customers, but how do I get out to them and get those customers or prospects or even suspects to give me information that could turn them into a ticket purchaser, which is the ultimate goal. Season ticket purchaser being really the ultimate goal. So another thing that they do with the Devils Army is that they really they send out weekly emails leveraging a mailing through a marketing list in Microsoft Dynamics CRM, integrated into their ticketing system to then ask for additional information. So of course they want to know someone's birthday, but most folks aren't giving that information during their first interaction. So that's being asked in a direct mail campaign to that customer or prospect so that they can then take them down the next step of their nurture program through just a very easy happy birthday email. Another program that the New Jersey Devils took into consideration to capture more data, they wanted to create the best fan experience possible. And rather than the marketing department or the owners or a general manager or the players picking what goal song to play, so whenever the New Jersey Devils scored, they always play the same. And if you've been to hockey or football, there are always songs that get played or scoreboard animations that occur at various points. They wanted the fans to feel empowered. And by letting them choose their new goal song, that was a way for them to empower their fans. And they surprisingly got all sorts of interaction with this goal song. They were a little unsure how it was actually going to work for them. But what it allowed them to do was then learn a lot more about their individual customers or prospects. So if we look at the center or the right image, now I'm not asking for a birthday. but I'm asking how many games do they typically attend? Where do you sit? Again, building that customer profile, learning more so I can address them as they want to be addressed, and also internally score to know when I can offer them, in this case, a nice ticket promotion. So what the devils are doing, very programmatically, well thought out, is executing event-driven automation. The first time, if we revisit, the first time that I put my information in, I'm probably just getting an email, hey, thank you for joining the Devil's Army. Would you like to subscribe to our season ticket offers, our single ticket offers? Would you like to know what we're doing in the community? And then over time, they're developing a data set around that individual, and that's what's key, around that individual to then do event-driven marketing, knowing that there's certainly might be a family that it's one time a year they can take the family of 4 to a game. The Devils understand that. They also understand when they're engaging with their group sales or sponsors that they're much more likely to engage in low seats or boxes. And how do I address that market versus my more retail or consumer-based market? And they need to spend equal time on both. Of these stats, I think it's really important to look at the middle stat, which is only 4% of emails have been automated thus far, yet they provide and drive 40% of the email revenue. So what does that mean? What that means is a prospect is taking an action, maybe it's on your website, and you're emailing them based off of that action and your profile to directly address something that's important to them. And leveraging Microsoft Dynamics CRM, extending that to capture the data that you're looking for, and then leveraging a marketing automation platform to directly engage with that customer of one changes the story versus just blasting once a week 3 offers in the same email out to your entire prospect group. So what we're trying to do is you're trying to separate the intellectually curious from the economically serious. You could also say you're trying to qualify a lead. I mean, that's really what we're trying to do to drive successful marketing practices and in turn deliver ROI. And it certainly shouldn't go without noting that more and more focus and scrutiny is being placed on the marketing dollar spend and what is my return on my marketing dollar investment. So marketers are being held more accountable, just like every other business group is, for the dollars that they're spending. You need to separate the intellectually curious from the economically serious, because those are the qualified leads that you're going to hand to your sales team. Those are those customers that are much more likely to buy another product, be part of an upsell, engage in bringing new customers to your revenue stream. So pretty important. We're going to talk a little bit about nurturing program because this is what the best marketers are doing, leveraging Microsoft CRM and Microsoft, and then a marketing automation platform like Core Motives from Silvertop. So I won't read all of these pieces. I'm just going to touch a couple of them. The first one's extremely critical. So nurture campaigns have a 2x open rate. Why is that? Well, I'm addressing someone because I know something about them. It's not kind of blast and forget it or batch and blast. It's a very direct interaction about a very specific thing that in this case, the person I'm sending to has likely already shown an interest to or has a profile that lends them to showing an interest in this case, a particular product. And then the click-through rates off the one-off emails go by a factor of 3 because as a buyer, I've been engaged specifically about what I like. I'm more often to see what other things you have to offer because I already trust you. So you're now a trusted retailer to me, or a trusted person that I'm interested in. I'm much more likely to look outside. And then the other piece is the higher win ratio for prospects. If you set up an effective nurture campaign, you're then able to touch them more often about what they're looking to, and of course you're going to get higher win rates when you're addressing your prospect or customer base versus just sending to an entire group. And I see we do have a question. I'm going to take a second here and answer that. So if you give me 1 second here. So the question is, I mentioned from a SilverPop perspective, we offer 2 different systems. So we offer Core Motives and Engage, one being inside CRM or embedded, the other being outside of CRM. And so the question is, when does one or the other make sense, and what are the reasons that drive one platform or the other for marketers? Great question, and Nick, thank you for asking that. So I'm going to start with, what are the reasons for one platform or the other for marketers? And the answer is, a lot of it depends on the requirements of the marketing department. If you get into an advanced scenario where you have very, very complex behavioral rules, you're also trying to do negative response type, did not open, and does not have, oftentimes that becomes an external to CRM decision. There's another reason that we see the external to CRM, the integrated approach occur, and that is kind of the classic legacy marketer. I've always had it this way. I'm the one making the decision, and I would rather have my own database that I can manipulate versus have my data commingled with a sales database that's often supplemented by some operational information and back-end information. Marketers want just some specific information, and these are also classically the larger organizations that have bigger marketing departments where they might have 30, 40, 50 folks in their marketing department, and they all have individual pieces of responsibility inside the marketing, that marketing group. Now, to the embedded side, and Nick, also around just from like an email sending perspective, and when do you determine what a prospect or a customer really needs, you also want to determine what you're trying to accomplish as a marketer when you're picking your marketing automation solution. So you don't necessarily need all the bells and whistles all the time. Pick something that becomes winnable, but just understanding that oftentimes that behavior of one and the need to get into a nurture program becomes pretty important. So folks that oftentimes find the most value in the embedded solution are those folks that are about 65% of the 70% of the time the small, medium business, where I'm the marketer, but I'm also a business development person, and I might have some sales responsibility. So I want to learn things once and do the same thing whether I'm in a sales call or create a marketing list. So there are a lot of factors, but I would certainly recommend when you're choosing a marketing automation platform, understand your near-term and long-term goals, understand where you firmly believe the data should live, and any rules you have from the data you're using to build your lists and supplement your data, and then determine if you need an embedded or an integrated solution. So Nick, I hope that helps answer your question. Okay, so just kind of continuing on the nurture marketing or the nurture program piece, make offers that align with where prospects are in the buying process. So this involves that vision and really mapping out your use case scenario. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this slide. It's your business. So as a marketer, you know probably more about the business in general than most other folks outside of the executive suite. And that's because you have to be knowledgeable on all things about your company. So you need to make sure you're working with those different groups to get the information that they have that helps you become more intelligent and put them in the right frame of their buying process. So just a quick general overview of some nurture marketing. I have a couple examples here. One can be a salesperson. So I'm a salesperson and I am in Microsoft CRM and I'm calling down a list of my prospects, and I call Dan Griffin and I find out, hey, Dan's really interested in Microsoft Dynamics CRM, or Dan's really interested in putting new windows into his house, and you can take your pick. Smart marketers will give salespeople programs that allow them to interact with marketing without waiting for marketing to react to sales. So you're able to build a program where, in this case, the salesperson can drop the Dan Griffin contact into this nurture track and automatically leveraging the power of Microsoft Dynamics and your marketing automation platform, send an email on day 1, and then send a different email on day 3, and follow that up with a phone call on day 4. And of course, you can become much more complex. This is a very simple linear example, but you should, and we would certainly encourage you to understand that whole life cycle of buying and the different personas in the life cycle. Create smaller programs that you can chain together, but you can always also stop. Another example of nurture marketing is website form submissions, and I've just used the Next Goal Song web form that the Devils use to show that when, let's say I, Dan Griffin, submit my next goal song, and I'm not going to share what my goal song might be, but I follow it up with a day 1 email, thank you, and then a day 3 phone call, maybe to the folks that voted for the song that gets picked, and then day 4 another email reminding them that in 3 days at the next game against the Blackhawks, we're going to unveil the new goal song, and then day 5 an SMS reminder. Again, the beauty of an integrated or embedded marketing automation platform with Microsoft Dynamics CRM is that you are still managing your contact preferences in Microsoft Dynamics. Do not call, do not bulk email. All of those pieces that if you've implemented with a partner, they're explaining the nuances of what that means. You can control that within Microsoft Dynamics CRM, and most marketing automation platforms give you an extended ability for subscription management, yes, SMS, no email, no phone call, and you can start to really define your experience and your contact rules to honor them in a much more granular way. One last piece that I want to address, kind of death by PowerPoint, I certainly understand that, but we wanted to hit a lot of topics for driving ROI, which is lead nurturing. Oftentimes, leads don't get followed up on in time. I was recently at our sales kickoff where we knew if we contacted a fresh lead within an hour, we had a much higher probability if we waited a day. And that just, it makes total sense. And we had some really valuable numbers around our organization. Understanding those numbers was important. So you do have to take some time and understand your data. But in the lead nurturing and development process, again, establish your goals. Make sure that you have a measurable. It's really important to have a measurable. Define your target audience, develop the lead scoring, and don't be afraid to be wrong. But always be proactive in going back into lead scoring and reevaluating your scoring model or models. And don't be afraid to make changes, but always have that goal. And then as you start to get work through lead scoring, how are you routing those individual leads? What does the message look like? And really, if you have a demand gen or a business development group, or even if it's going straight to the salesperson, consistent story and leveraging Microsoft Dynamics CRM with all that interaction history, imagine how much more powerful a salesperson is. They get the marketing qualified lead into their funnel, they make the call to the prospect, and it's not, hey, Mr. Griffin, I see that you were at a conference that we recently attended. That's okay, you knew that I was there. It's much more powerful to say, hey, Mr. Griffin, I know that you were at this particular conference that we attended. In fact, I just spoke, or I see the notes from Mr. Smith, who you spoke to, and I also see that you've interacted with our website about these particular products. Can I offer you any more information about these particular products? Knowing what customers are doing, where they are within your brand as a whole becomes really critical to developing a solid nurture program. And you can read these for yourself, nurture campaign types. It's everything from generating responses to suspects to leveraging your current customer base to even proactively servicing or moving your customers into a self-service or self-managed situation by reminding them about knowledge base or frequently asked questions or places where you can deliver email support versus the much more expensive phone support. So it's not just marketing, but it's everything about how you're touching your individual prospects and customers. And then I'm going to tell one quick automation story. We're going to talk a little bit about A/B testing, and then we'll get back into the questions. Just one example from the New Jersey Devils that they do, and you can see along the bottom how this lines up with their Microsoft Dynamics deployment. So the New Jersey Devils think it's really important to have the best in-game experience that you can possibly have once you get to the arena, and even leading up to that. But once you're in the arena, they really focus on that fan experience. And part of that fan experience is engagement. You know, I would have never thought, 8, 10 years ago, going to any sporting event or music concert, that I would actually be engaging with perception being the entertainer or a portion of that entertainer or the sports team, but also being able to vote and impact my own experience. So what the Devils have done in a very simple example is the Griffin family shows up. I purchased my tickets through the ticket site for the Devils. Of course, my credit card information is there. The Devils know that. So when I scan, and they've now matched me to a contact in their database, I scan my ticket through the magic of integration. The ticket engine integrates with Microsoft Dynamics CRM, says the Griffin family's here, which then spawns a nurture program, or in this case a one-off nurture that says, yes, Dan Griffin is opted into SMS. Let's send Dan an SMS message telling him to go to section 103 to pick up 4 free hot dogs for the 4 tickets that he purchased. And oh, by the way, it's going to be right by the pro shop where I can go buy jerseys. So they're very intentionally sending me on a track to go past some places where I can buy, but I'm being rewarded. So as an attendee to this event, all I know is I scanned my ticket, I got a text message, and I'm getting free hot dogs. But they're using technology to engage their fan base, and you can do this, of course, outside of the entertainment industry, engaging your buyers, and this is where even potentially the geolocation data can come into account. So one last real quick topic, which is really important for driving ROI. We talked earlier about lead scoring and always inspecting that lead score model or models and making sure that you're not afraid to make changes, calculated changes. Excuse me. There's also the notion of A/B testing, or what might also be referred to as champion-challenger testing. So it's important if you are engaging with a known group of your contacts or accounts, you want to, and you have 2 offers and you're not sure which one is the best one to take to market, oftentimes a small litmus test of that group can really tell you, here's what I should be doing. So the ability to A/B test, which sends 2 different messages to folks that belong to the same marketing list, is really important. So you target the businesses. In this case, let's talk about let's talk about like an amusement park, and I'm trying to drive group ticket sales. It's spring break or it's summer, and I want to go to either an organization like a school or another after-school organization from a group perspective. So I'm going to target those businesses or groups for either sponsorships or tickets, but I'm not sure what's going to make them really buy. I have 2 ideas. One worked okay last year, but we think we can do better with this other one. So you're going to send to a smaller group, a subset in the same segment, these 2 different offerings. You've now controlled the subset list, and you have some real data on what you can expect to be successful. So this is another screenshot of core motives and A/B testing, but I'm just showing that I sent an email to, I have 100%, I A/B tested 10% on A, 10% on B, and then we programmatically determined the winner to be A and sent to the rest of the 80% the criteria, and you can set your criteria. So as we talk about getting into being successful in marketing, you can start to see that it's not just about emailing, but it's about looking at this in its entirety and being more intelligent around leveraging not just the data that you have, but the data that you're capturing on a go-forward basis. So last slide, leave it open for 10 minutes here. Again, just whether you're a marketer or someone that implements Microsoft CRM or someone that's just interested, everything starts with what you're trying to accomplish as a business in the vision with defined goals and measurables. You need your data, both internally and externally, to be successful, and that data always needs to be revisited all the time. You need a data governance program to be successful with any marketing effort when you're leveraging a Microsoft or any CRM. Fortunately, Microsoft Dynamics CRM makes it very easy to work through data maintenance, and there are a number of partners that can help with not just data supplementation, but data cleansing. And then, of course, your internal skills. So as a marketer, being able to develop content, or as a partner, being able to support your customers in tracking the right information within your Microsoft Dynamics CRM deployment. And then the last piece being a marketing automation platform to do that delivery, the web intelligence, the analytics behind individual sends or user behaviors, and then, of course, to interact with your users as you go. So hopefully that gives you an idea around the business benefit and how, in this case, New Jersey Devils and some other clients that we didn't name through different stories drive value and drive ROI. Certainly not a product demo, but these products do what they're intended to do. Microsoft CRM does what it's intended to do, but putting it into practice becomes a little bit of a challenge. And if you follow the vision, data, and skills blocks, you're going to be much more successful. And really thinking holistically about the personas that you engage as a potential buyer or as a existing customer, and address them as a customer of one through some behavioral marketing, you're going to be in much better shape, and you'll be able to deliver that marketing ROI and have real results that you can point to. So we do have one more question. Let me scroll to that one, or maybe that was Nick just saying thank you. Okay, so I do have another question. So the question is, would you describe how this approach corresponds to how attendees of this webinar came to accept attending? So it is a marketing technique for Microsoft CRM. And let's see who asked that question. Michael or Martin, I can't tell. So I can speak to, when I was in the implementation services space, we had a customer conference, and we leveraged Microsoft Dynamics CRM and Core Motives to really facilitate this event. We knew that we wanted to have the target of customers, but also prospects come to our conference. So we would we would develop different emails to those target groups, obviously with a different message. The message to the prospects were, come hear from our best customers. The message to the customers were, come hear from your peers, and don't forget to reconnect. So two different avenues. We would drive them to a web form, similar to the experience that you've had to join this webinar and accept this webinar. But then, like the folks at Microsoft Dynamics World, they now know that you're interested in marketing automation. Back to my customer conference example, we knew if you clicked through and looked at the agenda, you were probably pretty interested. And what we did is we really used the email as the vehicle to get to more detail and force a couple clicks so we knew how serious someone was towards coming, because planning an event like a conference, unlike a webinar, requires a lot more kind of upfront planning, and you really don't want a lot of gray area around the numbers. So we did spend a lot of time leveraging marketing automation to really attract prospects and customers, but then we took it to what I would consider the next level, and what I'd seen in some other instances, where we were always nurturing those attendees, and then, of course, those folks that had just clicked a little bit. So the experience that you had joining and accepting this webinar was done through a marketing automation platform. Whether you got an email, you saw it on LinkedIn, you saw it because you read MS Dynamics World, or someone forwarded it to you, it sent you to a web page or a web form to register, your information is captured from a data perspective. In the background, it's being paired up. I would suspect, Jason, to, did Dan Griffin register for 3 other things? Of course, leveraging, an email address or a phone number, likely an email address. And then now you become part of that nurture effort, that remind effort. So hopefully that helps answer the question.
All right, thanks, Dan. And another question that came in here, what are people doing once they get started to be successful? So some of those startup factors.
Sure. So as I think about startup, I'm going to take a couple steps back to, I've implemented Microsoft CRM, or I'm in the process of implementing Microsoft CRM or any CRM. You really need to focus on the data first. It's really two-headed. It's the vision and the data piece. But I wouldn't recommend, unless you have a really savvy marketing group that has used marketing automation tools before, and I'm assuming from the question that that's not the case, that you're very focused on achieving results and not trying to do everything, but slowly, just like your organization has rolled out CRM or adopted CRM through the necessary functionality, and then likely phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 that touch things that were nice to have, business benefit, of course, but weren't imperative. I would recommend really thinking about, from a marketing perspective, what's my most important goal now that I have a marketing automation platform that sits over Microsoft Dynamics CRM and I trust my data? What are the 2 or 3 things I can do right now to make my organization better? That could be a brand management move. It could be a branding discussion. That could be a target to a small segment of your list. It's really dependent on your business. But before you do anything, I would ensure that you trust your data and that you've thought about the engagement of the send. The execution of what you're trying to do is very straightforward, but the planning and the trust of before you push that nice send button, in this case being an email, is really more important than anything in terms of being ready. So incremental is critical, and have things you can measure.
Okay, and a related question here. Do you look for a minimum size of a team or a set of skills to be dedicated to managing marketing automation responsibilities?
Sure. So I think, again, this certainly covers, it's a different answer for different types of organizations. Of course, this is, I'll answer this in the kind of small, medium business topic where you don't have a large marketing team. The skills that you're looking for are not technical. The skills should be business and marketing. So understanding what you're doing from a business development perspective. Of course, the technical skills around how do I create an advanced find in Microsoft Dynamics CRM, those things are important. You do need to engage in Microsoft Dynamics CRM training, be a user. I guess if I think about it, the way that I had always advised clients when I was in an implementation role, we always looked at Microsoft CRM and marketing automation as a way to turn IT into business enablers versus being operational support. These 2 tools give that to a typical business user. So if you understand your business and you map out, and this, the hardest part is either building the HTML content for an email, but likely the hardest part is making sure the list is correct, your marketing list. Understanding your data, engaging in CRM training, and then engaging in the platform training, you will learn that very quickly as you have regular repetition. But making sure that you are adequately educated around your company and your go-to-market reads and needs are probably the most important skills that you can have. It's very easy to pick these tools up from a user perspective.
All right, great. Why don't we make a last call for questions here since we are at the top of the hour. I have one more question in the queue right now. how do you combat the concept of marketing versus sales as opposed to creating a marketing and sales environment?
So I think the question is, what are some strategies to try and put marketing and sales in the same boat versus in separate boats,
Right.
going and growing in different directions? It comes down to answering the question, what have you done for me lately? So oftentimes what we've done is we really want to get marketing and sales together and have that conversation around what's the common goal. Well, the common goal is driving revenue, and marketing and sales are both measured or should be measured on the success of driving revenue or market penetration. There's a defined metric that both groups are driving towards. And you're always going to have some of the bickering and the infighting, and a lot of it is personality. But as a marketer, if you can find out the 2 or 3 things that make a salesperson really click, and they're sales folks. So the ability to put more money in their pocket or to hit a better revenue number, that's what they're driven by. If you can find out those 2 or 3 things, and it's really not more than 2 or 3 things, it's usually not, then that's a win. But then also being able to articulate, because the hardest part that I found for marketing is they have that conversation and they supply that to sales, but sales never puts in the interaction information. They never interact with CRM. I get paid to sell. I don't get paid to put data into a CRM application. Finding a few champions on the sales team where they believe in the marketing sales life cycle and using them as champions. Don't be afraid to prop up those folks that are very good at process and provide marketers with data that, again, might reheat or allow them to upsell or cross-sell. If you can get the salespeople to interact back into CRM and not have a marketing person all over them, I need your data, I need you to put it into a list, make it intuitive and make it easy, that's really how you're going to kind of best strategize around getting sales into marketing. Oftentimes, sales they say they want to help marketing, but the answer is always, I don't have enough time in the day to do what you're asking. So what's mutually beneficial for both folks? Qualified leads or better content from marketing to sales, and then working on just what are the 2 or 3 pieces of data that really help marketers from a sales perspective, but then tell them the story. Don't forget to trumpet the successes.
All right. Well, with that, we are going to start closing out today's session. Dan, I want to maybe start by saying thanks to you for the excellent presentation.
Well, thanks, Jason. I certainly appreciate it. And if anyone has any questions, certainly don't hesitate. You can certainly email me. My email address is on the screen, and happy to answer any questions, not just around our product, but just experience from a CRM and marketing automation perspective.
And thanks to everyone in the audience for your attention today and for your great questions. We really appreciate it as always. Please be on the lookout for a recording of this session, which we should be making available soon as well. So with that, I want to say thanks and have a great day.